Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to bring you a free-for-all cast in Cosmonarchy. We've got 5 players on Oilstralia, and one of the spawns is occupied. That is occupied as the island spawn, so that is going to be already an interesting sight. We'll see if the island spawn is continuously ignored. Game theoretically, you would actually want to smash it first, but few times will you actually see people bothering to do that. We have an interesting cadre of players this time around, and I shall introduce them all. Yeah, 2 of them are going to be players that we don't typically see, and the other 3, well, they're homies of the highest order. The Shambler in the top left is our Platinum Purple? Tyrian Purple it was. I don't know why I thought it was something different. I guess I don't normally see it on this particular tile set, but he is in the top left on the island spawn making an embassy, because of course he is. He's going to make Mass Artisan most likely. Executor, or Executor, perhaps. Not entirely sure which. He's playing as Zerg, so you wouldn't think that he's Executor, but, you know, whatever. Maybe he's just piloting Zerg. Just, you must know thine enemy, and see what happens there. He is going to be our Zerg in the 2 o'clock location here on Oilstralia, the high ground spawn. He's got his whole right side completely open and free for him to explore, and he's going for a Zork's Shroud very early on. He is our Beaster Brown Zerg. And in the middle, the dead middle, why? I have no idea, but Sopas is indeed going to be executing his own man. He is our Vivid Red, no, just Vermilion Terran. In the upper left here, we have Doglived, closest to our heathen player up here, who is making artisans, of course. He is our Maya Blue Terran. And, of course, Godweat already going for his expansion, and then his pool afterwards is our green Zerg. So we've got 2 Zergs, 2 Terrans, and a Protoss, and the Protoss is all the way on the island where he belongs, apparently. And we'll see what comes of our homies. I guess maybe Sopas somehow got a stuck Mason, is my only expectation there, but that only actually can happen if you somehow magically like land a structure on top of the Mason, or they finish building something and then they're like still colliding with it or whatever, and still there are ways to get it working again, but typically you'll need to like lift the structure and hit the stop key on the Mason or whatever. It's a bug that we'll eventually fix. I don't think that was actually what that was. I think maybe he just like move commanded onto the mineral field, and then it was like, why isn't he doing anything? I don't know. That's my best guess. But he is going for a star pad. My favorite thing about FFAs is the fact that there's always something to talk about with regards to what the players are doing. I never have to sort of BS for time or come up with podcast topics in the early stages of the game, as sometimes you will have to do if 2 players are doing like a very meta opener, right? We do obviously have the Shambler going for his embassy into Stargate, so using tier 1 embassy for his antics here, and he will be making a LAN effect. It looks like he wants the artisans to start saturating all of Vespene in the neighborhood. That is eventually going to be turned into an aircraft carrier, by the way. I'm going to have the compound tile set here from on this. I actually don't know if any compound exists on this map natively right now, but I am going to have some compound and have it blend with the tar somehow. Don't ask me how I plan to implement that just yet. I have no idea how I'll mask it in, but I will do my best. I will do my best. We have Executor thinking about what to do with those this gas land up here. It's always a funny time. And we have a star pad for Doglived, who seems to be hell-bent on going bio with his own expansion, and a Cyprian anchor being assembled over there on the high ground. Looks like it's going to be a very fun time with a Hydrith and pool-based army for Godweat, although does he even have a military unit? No. He's been a very greedy boy. He's made the tech nodes at the very least, but he has no military as of right now. None coming either. A Trojan full of just 1 Mason for Sopas is intercepted by the bio, and perhaps that will definitely indicate to Sir Doglived what he needs to do. If he doom drops the island, Shambler doesn't really have much that will shoot back. He's got 2 Auroras, a couple of Wardens, and a 3rd one on the way in his main base, but he will need to scramble all hands on deck if Doglived decides to go and attack him. Very vulnerable, very greedy indeed. Lakizalisks making sure to hold down the fort there. We got 1 out here with Hydras as well for Executor. And yeah, ski back on the way for Godweat. I guess he just doesn't want any military units until he can make his trusty Bactalisk. 3rd Stargate. I don't see a Crucible yet. 4th Stargate, in fact. And it looks like the Doom Drop is actually going to be earmarked towards the natural of sopas. Huracan's trying their best to take care of these Cyprians, but not quite able to do much other than slow down the Ministry. This infighting amongst the Landborn certainly seems unnecessary when you consider what else is going on the map. I also don't really know anything about how Executor plays. He's clearly got the least amount of workers here. I say that, Sopas actually technically has one less. But, you know, he's low on the workers. He's maybe a little bit slow to start here. And not sure how up to snuff he is on the general gameplay, right? His APM's a bit low. We'll see. I mean, Doglived and Shambler are also relaxing right now APM-wise. We've got some Izira cores coming, and the Tethvith Swamp already in mutation here for Sir Godweat. We'll see what he wants to make happen there. Sopa's going to go ahead and drop a Mason to make a Ministry on the southernmost island. He's already familiar enough with the layout, or he scoped it out while we were busy yapping about other things. Ridge being capped in the natural, already done in the main for Doglived, and we have the air fleet continuing to amass, with the Crucible going to empower most of those Stargates there for Shambler as he continues to saturate the very many bases with his double embassy artisan spam. Again, he's spending a lot of money just to make a lot of money, right? That's basically how there was a brief period of time where Taloses were being spammed out, and you spent so much money to get like 5-6 bases, but then had no military and died anyway. And so people eventually abandoned it entirely, which is maybe too much of a correction the other way. But interesting nonetheless, right? A lot of Bactals being made by Godweat. Not much of an air fleet being made by anybody. In fact, really the only players with access to transport seem to be Sopas and Doglived. And there are a decent number of Trojans, but is he going to continue trying to heckle his fellow Terran in the middle of the map? Or are we going to see something a little bit different? Tier 2 being assembled on the island, of course. Trojan with nothing in it, heckling the position of Executor. He's got himself a Ovaleth in the Droleth, or Droleth in the Ovaleth, rather, and he is going to move to the top right, it looks like. But oh, down goes the empty Trojan of Sopas. He's going to have to deal with that later. First player to tech up, though. Wasn't expecting that. Olgorg Cavern on the way for Executor as we have more Watchdogs being assembled here. He's going to need a lot more than that, I feel like. He's got 9 land effects and 12 Auroras to deal with. The Cyprians can help out quite a bit with that, but he is scooping a lot of his units up into the Trojans. Now, because he knows that Shambler's attack force just heckled his Mason that was going to make a third base, he should actually be in a position where he can just move across the map, right? When we think about it like that. Shaman, Cyprian, one Maverick or Cleric or Huracan. No, he doesn't need it. He's just going to go ahead and get ready to dispatch some more action over there. Now the Flyers are coming back here for Shambler, though, so not entirely sure what we're going to make of that. Still a lot of Cyprians here. Extra stockades being put together. Honestly, I feel like the Auroras and the land effects aren't really going to be able to get much done here. But it does depend on how the engagement goes and where the Trojans fly to. Doglived really does want to attack the middle of the map, I guess. Completely ignoring the fact that there's an island player. I guess this is another thing about Oilstralia, right? Is that when you have the island spawn active, you know, some people think that you just shouldn't be allowed to spawn on the island. I contest that theory, of course, but it is worth pointing out that, like, when you have the spawns that are closest to the island and they don't do anything to the island player, of course the island player is going to have an easy pass. I mean, the middle of the map is also in a similar boat, although Doglived is doing plenty to contest that. Meanwhile, the Hatteras being made and now shut down by the air units up there in the top right. This drop didn't get too much done versus Sopa's military, but it killed so many of his workers, he's back down to 24. Godweat, on the other hand, is ascending up the tech tree. He's got his Iris halfway complete. He's taken multiple bases, getting plenty of gas happening, and he's going to go ahead and take that bottom left main base, the spawn, I should say, for the bottom leftmost spawn. Executor going to be struggling quite a bit as he makes his Zozar Gorge. Hydras are on the way to try to shoo these forces away, but the land effects activate. Some Panoptises getting in. Down goes the main Hatteras. This does feel like Executor's about to get executed. I really can't see him shooing this away, but again, we're missing any sort of counter pressure being put in. Down goes the Hydra. He could make some... oh, he's making Zobrialisks. I wouldn't necessarily go for that personally. Some Zarkabra cores would do very, very well here if he had enough number of them. Meanwhile, Godweat moving in to attack our Doglived Terran. And it does feel like this is about... Oh my god, good luck trying to kill that dude. That's got a lot of armor. And he's not even really attacking. Oh, he is attacking it with everything. Never mind, the Lanifex just can't shoot down. Well, maybe it'll be all right that maybe Executor's bought himself some time. A lot of money in the bank, but not actually spending much of it. Hey, you can't attack him. Oh, that's a pretty good move, though, with the Lanifex. Hell yeah. Man, we're witnessing tactics. Big drop here as Sopas is once again going to be taken out of the economic game, but Godweat pushing in on a Doglived's front door. This feels like a very dangerous position to be in. Immediately remorphing the Zozark as Executor, and now the Trojans return, but there's nothing in them. And it looks like his attack force is going to have to fall away, but a lot of it being heckled. He's just going to get annihilated by all those Bactylisks on the high ground, I feel like. Doglived is probably going to be eliminated here, unless he can get the hell out of dodge and try to cockroach, but his last third base just got caught on the way back from Shambler's retreat. At the same time, look, you see plenty of Iziricors isolated over here to cut this down. Oh, we have ourselves. Doglived took the sound with us. I can't believe it. Classic move. But the Bactyls are going to continue to rain fire upon his base anyway. This is the time where you would actually decide, I'm going to infest this if you were a super smart player. But here you go. It looks like Shambler going to swoop on in with his Protoss. And he's actually not using his disruption field. There we go. That's a big disruption field cloud. He needs to actually like turn it around and spread it around because the Bactyls are still fighting a little bit. Godweat, of course, not bothering to micro. Now he's realizing, oh, I actually need to move back. But he's having a hard time of it. The Auroras, there's a couple Panoptises in there as well. I guess at the very least, you know, the Iziricors are still kicking. The Tetzoricors are responding to that attack. The drop came in with a bunch of Iziricors, it looks like, but they're not going to be able to accomplish too much there. And Sopa's continuing to build up himself in absentia of Doglived's wanton aggression. Doesn't look like anything other than artisans are being made to saturate these top right bases, by the way. So it's pure Stargate right now for Shambler. He has not teched up out of this situation. Godweat has a lot of Hydras and a lot of Iziricors. I don't think Shambler can actually face this army unless he has magical land effect disruption fields, but he can at the very least cause some heckling. You can see the ground army pulling away from there, even though the Tetzoricors are dubiously, it's dubious as to whether or not they're any help at all. 12 land effects all clouded up together is not really what Shambler needs right now. He might be able to pick the Tethvith Swamp on the way out, but no, doesn't even accomplish that right now. We'll see if he goes back in later. Meanwhile, the Tet's getting caught on some of Sopas' forces around his natural. Poor guy still cannot get his natural going. Protathalors came out, but they just waypointed into death instead of actually properly attack moving. What you really need here is some kind of crowd control. Sikralisks would be great. He has the Spire already. He can definitely make that, but he's making Protats instead. I suppose the slow grinding will definitely accomplish something. And it also forces the land effects to make a choosy target, right? Because they don't want to dive that far away from their supportive fire from the other air units. So we do have that to consider as well. Madrigal's deploying in the middle of the map. We've got Executors slowly building back up, adding more and more Spraiths in the meanwhile. This Khaz'trith is going to help him out if Shambler does return, but probably needs to turn those into Spear Tits. We got a lot of Mutas being made. I don't think that's the right move either, but I guess what he really wants to do is probably just go ahead and hit the top right island with those. I think if Godweat recognizes the map state correctly, he should be using his Mutalisks, he should be using his air presence, kind of ignoring the other two players on the map, knowing that Shambler is the only one that can possibly face him right now. Rebuilding his Hydrith is a good start, also upgrading the Mutat Spire. Here's where things can pivot. If he can turn all those Mutas into more potent units, oh my god. Okay, well, remember that penetrating shot from the Tetzoricor. It will actually do some splash damage here. And look at this. The land effects are busy disrupting field. They cannot attack while that's active. Now they're going to turn it on, turn around, and we'll see what else happens. But all that splash damage from the Tets, it really felt like that did a number on some of those Auroras. Softened them up quite a bit. They will obviously deal some splash damage in a suicide attack. This Iris is out in the middle of nowhere, in no man's land. That's easy pickings here, but the Spire is probably a bigger target. You can lose the Iris, you still have access to the tech that you need. Slow to react is Godweat. He's not playing with sound off, that's just us. It does feel like right about now he needs to let those land effects sort of chew themselves down by fighting the rest of the army first. Our Corsair equivalent in Cosmonarchy still has that disruption field active. Now, here's the problem, right? He just does not have the right kind of force. Tozgralisks, on the other hand, they will deal quite a bit of damage to the air stack. I still really feel like he needed Sikralisks a bit earlier, and he's not making them at all right now. Maybe forgot that they deal that crowd-controlling damage, and they're very, very good at sort of pushing away the air stack. we're all rooting away, in favor of the player who isn't on the island and isn't just being ignored and isn't just massing up air units. And so, of course, that's always how you feel. You never think like, oh, this is a honorable way to win and it feels super good. But at this point, if he successfully dismantles Godweat, Shambler doesn't have any actual opposition here. And he will, of course, be accused of dub posting if he posts a victory from an island where he was not contested whatsoever. Now, it looks like instead of doing anything about the many, many air units that are attacking him, Godweat's going to take his aggression out on sopas. This is the most counterproductive thing you can do, I think. But maybe he can go ahead and scout around for any landborne bases. And again, he can use his Togrilisks and his Mutalisks to do something else. I'm bamboozled as to why he's bothering to attack there. Like, his Togrilisks could be so useful versus the air stack here. They don't deal, dedicated actual splash damage, but they have the crowd control when they attack multiple targets in range. And now he's going and losing a bunch of them to this this ground-based stack and the Reclaimer stack of Sopas. He's making himself weaker. He's making somebody who, at the very least, could be absorbing pressure from Shambler weaker. I guess he's throwing in the towel, and we're going to go ahead and call this FFA about here and now. Sopas is going to be set back quite a bit. His tier 2, at the very least, is on the island, and he's well saturated here with all the ridges. Oh, I guess his minerals could use a bit more saturation. Got a lot of Convolisks out, but that's not going to really help you out here in this situation. I guess Godweat just wants to take over the ground game in this position. You can send some Drolets over and try to remetabolize the rest of Oilstralia. I don't think he's going to be able to do that successfully, though. I'm going to be honest with you. Shambler's just kind of playing the point-and-click game right now, which is what you can accuse most Protoss players of doing, to be fair. But a lot of these captaincies, as much as they are going to lift off and go somewhere else, are only going to delay the inevitable. And it really does feel like Godweat is our secret villain here, He was supposed to be the one who defeated the Shambler by building the right units to counter his monocomp of Stargate. And I consider building one production structure a monocomp. He technically has Diadacts and stuff and starting to add Empyreans, but he's already won the game with just Stargate units. And so you are supposed to be able to defeat that as Zerg. There were tools available that were not used. And I know Godweat isn't a Zerg main anymore, but he should still be able to know that, right? Daedala on the way. One base Daedala effectively right now for Sopas. We'll see what he can make happen with it. I'm guessing not a whole lot, especially if the Protoss Death Stack ends up sweeping over there. Looks like it's going to kill Executor first. He's got a lot of Zobrialisks. This could be somewhat costly. Remember, there's still no detection here, and you can't possibly, find all of these targets from there, but Shambler's taking a sweet time and going over in that direction. He might still run in to where Godweat's army is, funnily enough. Really funny, really goofy. Quite silly. A lot of watchdogs being assembled. Sopa's recognizing he's on an island. It does kind of feel like Sopas and Executor have just been playing a little bit of a civilization match or something. Look, Executor has no workers. Where are all of his workers? He allegedly has 34 workers. I guess most of them are down here. He's got 22 here. Yeah, I guess so. He's got nothing for economy. And you can see here Godweat's just dying. He's not even attack moving or anything. He's refusing to engage with the Shambler. He will not target him. He will not attack. And now here comes, again, no dedicated actual splash. Down goes all of the Togrilisks. If they were supporting before this death stack got so powerful, I feel like they would have done better. But you really did need to go a little bit heavier on the you needed to go with the Sikralisks for actual splash. You needed to go with either that or Lyralisks, although you were a little bit out of the tech path for that. GG is called. That's it for Godweat, and I suppose now we just go ahead and fast forward as Shambler discovers the other players. Don't see why we would do much of anything else. He's not been touched, and I don't think anybody will do the touching. We'll see how, cinematic he can make the final deaths of, the Spraiths, the Khazritriths, etc. Well, let this be a lesson to all ye watching here. It's not great as a showcase for anything related to Cosmonarchy specifically. It is just game theory within an FFA. I hope we've all learned a valuable lesson. When Shambler exists, kill Shambler. But also, when you are dealing with an island spawner, definitely make sure to consider that. And remember what your units do if you're a Zerg player. SMH, TBH. Still no detection here, so the Zobrialisks will heckle this base quite a bit, this set of armor quite a bit. But down goes the Khazritrith, so no more mass targeting there. And it's pretty cute to see the Zobrialisks do things. They will actually dismantle the Empyreans, by the way. A couple of those are going to go down. But yeah, that should be a wrap on everything else. The Didacts not able to keep things cloaked when they're attacking. When you attack under Didact Cloak, you are freed of your cloak for a moment, and there goes Executor. He's gone, devastated, I think he technically still had the space down here, but he just ended up leaving. They were all in voice chat for this game, I think. So they probably were saying GG. And then Sopa's, GG, I guess. And Shambler says GG back. And that's it. Yeah, I think Sopa's recognizing he definitely doesn't have... he doesn't have anything that actually... I mean, he's got autocrats, but they don't have any armor end to get through the armor of the units here. So, yeah. That's about it. Nah, I'm too far off. And there it is. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Well, that was allegedly a 21-minute game, but let's be real. It was kind of over in, 12 or 15. Kill Shambler. That's it.